Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You can turn on your camera and your microphone. All right. And team as well. Hello, everyone. Welcome. So this is the very first edition of the Healing Days. Welcome, everyone. Wow. Okay. There's a lot of people joining. Actually, we're more than 20,000 in all the different broadcasts that we have. So it's pretty incredible to see that many people joining. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Actually, tell us where you are connecting from, like what country, what city. Let us know in the comment. Hi from Italy, from Philly, from Burdeos. I can see Madonna from an Egyptian from Thailand, in Thailand. Okay, Barcelona, Spain. So all around the world, I can see. So welcome, everyone. This is the very first edition of the Healing Days with the best specialist in the world on healing. We're gonna do one thing and one thing only, is we're gonna take care of ourselves. We're gonna dig really deep in every question to give you every chance to start your healing journey. I know I'm excited to spend all the time with all of you. So I hope you're as excited as I am to be here and share this journey all together. Hello, Marisa. Hello, team. Hello, Gabor. So let's start by presenting ourselves. Maybe I'll lead the way. So I'm Leo. I'm the co-founder of Mentor Show. Mentor Show, we are the organizer of this event, right? So our mission is to become the world's #1 platform for healing. That's why we bring together the most renowned experts from across the globe to create really practical, step-by-step courses designed to help you heal your mind, heal your body, heal your spirit. So we come from France. You can probably see from my accent, but now we're all over the world, as you can see in the chat. So we're organizing this event. This is a free event from start to finish, right? But at some point in the conference, we'll present our courses in more detail. For those of you who want to go deeper and use our app for their healing journey. So that's it for me. And maybe Gabor, you can start by presenting yourself and also maybe the agenda for the next few days.
Thank you, Leo. It's nice to work with you again. I met Leo because we prepared a healing program for the Mentor Show that Leo will tell you about at some other time. These days are organized around the central theme of trauma and looking at it from a number of different perspectives. What's important to keep in mind is that whichever perspective we're looking at from, we're looking at the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, it takes many different angles and perspectives to truly understand the complexity of the traumatic experience, its impact on our lives, and also, of course, its healing. Now, Leo brought together a number of people. I haven't had the fortune to run across the work of Tim or Marisa yet in person. I know their names, and there are other people as well. Don't necessarily expect agreement on everything. I think the most important person you have to agree with is yourself. So we are called experts, but when it comes to human experience, the major expert on your experience is yourself. So whatever I say, whatever Tim says, Marisa, anybody else on this program says, you have to really gauge it against your own experience, your own gut feelings, your own sense of who you are, and to what degree it resonates with you or it does not. So make yourself the expert on this. You can take our input or advice, look at it from our perspective, whether we agree with each other, whether we don't, it doesn't matter. The point is, do you agree? What do you agree with? Now, when it comes to my own part, I'll be talking about the heart. First, today, Marisa and Tim will present their perspectives on trauma as it affects the mind, as it's manifested in the mind, and as it's healed through the mind. Although I think all of us on this call today at least agree that purely through the mind, nothing is adequate. So while the mind is essential, it's also in itself only one aspect, an essential aspect, but not the complete picture when it comes to healing. Bessel, who of course is the world-renowned author of The Body Keeps the Score, which is about the impact of how traumatic experiences are lodged, stored, imprinted, manifested in the body. And this is the kind of thing that nobody tells you about in medical school. 2,600 years ago, or 2,500 years ago, 2,400 years ago, Socrates in ancient Greece said that the problem with the doctors of today is they separate the mind from the body. He said this in ancient Athens, the doctors of today. Well, we can say the same thing, unfortunately, over 2 millennia later, about the doctors of today. It's still a struggle to bring many healers and many medical people, even many psychologists and so on, to the understanding that mind and body are inseparable, and that whatever happens in the mind is registered in the body, and furthermore, how the body itself affects the mind. But keep in mind that it doesn't matter what the introductory topic is, whether it's the mind or the body, we're still talking about the same phenomena. And we're simply trying to expand and deepen our understanding from all these different perspectives, but we're not looking at different things. Now, when it comes to the heart, let me tell you something very interesting. Even when we think of what the mind is, I mean, I'm not going to give you my definition of what the mind is now, but even that, if you ask yourself, what is the mind? You'll probably find yourself having your own definition that might be quite different from what somebody else says when they mention the mind. But one thing the mind is not, it's not a solid thing. It's not a fixed entity that's always the same. It's much more interesting from my point of view, and of course you'll hear Tim's and Marisa's perspectives today, to think of the mind as a process. And it's a process that's in interaction with the environment. That's the first point. As Dan Siegel says, it's a process for the mind is a process for or it's an entity for the process of information flow and energy flow. The first thing. The second thing is when it comes to the heart. So when we think of the mind, very often we think just of the intellect. But the intellect is only one aspect of the mind. And the mind has many other aspects to it. It has consciousness, there's discernment, there's memory, conscious and unconscious, and there's a deep sense of identification, some of which is not even conscious. The intellect by itself is a wonderful human evolutionary achievement, but in itself, it's rather unintelligent, unless it's connected to the larger mind in the larger sense, which involves much more than just a capacity for logical thinking. Particularly, the heart itself has a nervous system. And the nervous system in the heart has a kind of knowing capacity. So if you've ever said to yourself, I knew it in my heart, you did. And that nervous system in the heart is connected to the brain up here. And it's an important component of the mind. Then there is the entity we call gut feelings, which is another essential modality of knowing. And in general, and we'll talk about this more when it comes to my turn in a couple of days, the more you're disconnected from your gut feelings, the less you actually know. Doesn't matter what content your intellect presents with you. If it's in conflict with your gut feelings, the intellect is going to be wrong 100% of the time. So again, when it comes to dealing with trauma, we're looking at the mind in the broad sense, looking at the intellect, which is a small aspect of the mind. We're looking at the knowledge of the heart and the knowledge of the gut. And the heart, the gut really connects you to yourself. The heart connects you to the external world in an open kind of way. One of the impacts of trauma is that we close the heart to protect ourselves because it hurts so much. All of these closures, all these disconnections from gut feelings from the heart, they then have a negative impact on our lives. So these days are all about reconnecting with who we actually are in a very, very deep sense. I'll close with just one final thought. We tend to think of ourselves in the West and in the North, especially as particularly advanced and modern and scientific and knowledgeable. But in fact, if you look at indigenous ways of knowing over the centuries and up until today, they understand the unity much more than we do. So in the North American indigenous tradition, there's something called the medicine wheel. And the medicine wheel has got 4 quadrants, which could be north, south, east, west. It could be the seasons. From a health point of view, there's the body, there's the mind, which includes our emotions and our thoughts, conscious and unconscious. There's the social aspect that connects us to the other creatures, human and non-human. And then there's the spiritual, which connects us to something greater than our little ego would have us believe we are. Whether you call it, I'm not going to even give it a name, but it's an entity that goes beyond our individual selves that we're a part of, that we're a manifestation of. So, mind, body, spirit, heart, and I hope these coming up days will be fruitful for you. Again, my advice is listen to us, but mostly listen to yourself. Thanks for listening today, and all the best for the rest of the seminar today with Marisa and Tim and Leo, and I'll see you in a few days. Okay, bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, Gabor. Very nice introduction from Gabor. I think it's a very good way to present that all those things are very inseparable. We built this program to be the perspective of the mind, of the body, of the heart, but actually these are different perspectives of one thing. So I think it's important for all of you to come to these different steps because they're going to complete each other. And one is gonna need the other to really reach the full potential. So now maybe Marisa and Tim, you can introduce yourselves shortly for some people who might not know you in the room.
You go first, Tim.
Okay, I'm Tim Fletcher. I'm from Windsor, Canada. And I came into this field over 20 years ago, and I came through the addictions field. And the addictions program that I was working with in Winnipeg at that time was one of the only places in Canada that the lady that had developed the program had come to the conclusion after 25 years that addiction was a symptom of deeper problems. It was people trying to solve their pain and escape their pain and find pleasure somehow. And so she basically didn't have the words for trauma at that point, but she was really saying, we got to find out what pain they're trying to solve, because addiction is just a symptom. And if we don't deal with the underlying root issues, we're in trouble. So that started me on the journey of beginning to think about that and investigate that. And then I came across Gabor's book, In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts, where he talked about every client he dealt with addiction had childhood trauma. And then that just really focused my work and research. And I was working with clients every day, teaching stuff, and that was expanding more and more my understanding of stuff. And it just grew from there. And then what happened was, because of Gabor's work, all of the addiction treatment centers were becoming trauma informed. And I got invited to go to a meeting of all the heads of the trauma or the addictions programs in the city. And they were all talking about, we got to be trauma informed. And I just asked, is anybody willing to change their program to actually deal with the trauma? And they all said no, they just couldn't do that. And I thought, well, we're all saying this is the root issue, but why aren't we dealing with the root issue? And so I spent about 3 years really thinking, what would it look like to do a program that's very practical for people coming out of addiction, beginning to recognize childhood trauma stuff, complex trauma, and developed the REACT program in 2016. And it's grown and spread around the world. And so that's been my work, and it's just been very practically working with clients and researching as I go to be kind of abreast of the latest research. And that's what I do.
All right. Thank you, Tim.
Hi, my name is Marisa Peer. I'm from London, and I've been a therapist my entire adult life, over 35 years now. And I realized very quickly that having clients come in and talk over and over again just wasn't enough. In fact, it wasn't working for me or them. So I created something called RTT, Rapid Transformational Therapy. And it's just therapy, but it's very quick. I use a lot of hypnosis, a lot of NLP, psychotherapy, neuroscience, quantum science, you name it. And I'm going to be doing a lot of it with you today, because as a therapist, it's not enough to listen. We like to do healing. It took me a long time to say I'm a healer. I thought, no, I'm a therapist. That's a kind of a brain thing. But now I realize actually healing is much more important. So I'm honored that today I'm going to get to have 2 healing sessions with you. And of course, all healing is your healing. I'm not going to heal you. I'm going to show you some very powerful techniques where you can heal yourself a great deal. It did wonders for me, and I'm honored to be able to pass it on. So thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, Marisa. Thank you, Tim. Very, very excited to get started. And actually, let me give you the program of the next few days. We're not just going to talk about trauma. The goal is to really experience what healing feels like. So we've structured this summit very intentionally with a movement from mind to heart to body and to finally integration and unity. So today we will look at how to rewire your mind towards healing with Tim Fletcher and Marisa Peer. Tomorrow we'll explore the heart of healing with Gabor, using compassion, using authenticity, and also how to stop repeating cycles of emotional pain. On Thursday, I'll show you some free extracts of the Heal program we've built with Gabor. We've never shown anything of this for free, so I'm quite excited to have your feedback. On Friday, we will be with Gabor again, and we'll look at how to release trauma from your body. We'll explore really the complex mechanisms that rule your body's sense of danger. We'll practice also together 2 exclusive exercises that are meant to help you reconnect with your body and really reclaim your choice. And finally, On Sunday, this will be the final step towards integration and unity. And we'll be with Dr. Frank Anderson, who is a trauma-specialized psychiatrist from Harvard, and we'll learn the essentials of parts work. We'll also practice exclusive exercises on how to meet your parts and also how to integrate your parts. So you can see we've put a lot of care into creating this 5-day path where each day really builds up on the previous one. So if you attend one day, you'll understand something powerful, hopefully. But if you attend all 5, you'll experience a sequence that is really designed to create an internal shift. So, remember, you're the most important investment in your life. So, if you take care of yourself, you'll also be able to take care of others. All right. So now, without further ado, we can get right into it and focus on the healing of the mind. And obviously, Tim, you have the immense responsibility to start these days by explaining what is trauma and what are its effects on our mind, and what are the common consequences of trauma on our mind.
Excellent. Well, thank you for this opportunity. And I'm going to try to take a whole bunch of material and summarize it very quickly, simplify it as best that I can. One of the things that's been very frustrating for me as a teacher and a therapist is that if you were to ask the average person if they have trauma, they would say, no, they don't have trauma. But most people in the world do have trauma. And the reason they think they don't have trauma is because they are still using one of the very early understandings of what trauma is. And that really is that it's some one-time horrific event that's out of the normal that happens to you, like a car accident, a rape. And so we now refer to that as big T trauma. And it's a reality of trauma. Some people have it, PTSD, symptoms come out of that. But we've developed a lot in our understanding since that very early definition. That was our understanding of trauma. The second thing that began to become clear was trauma is what happens inside of you. It's not the events out there. Those are traumatic events, but that doesn't cause trauma. It's when a person is affected by those events because they're too overwhelming, they're too much, too soon, your nervous system can't handle it, it's on overload, and so you go to fight or flight, freeze or fawn as a way to try to survive. And so it was important to begin to understand it's not the traumatic events that we're talking about, it's the wound that's happening inside of a person as a result of those events. But then it went further, and we began to realize that it's not just one-time events, that you can have ongoing danger. So now we went from one-time events called simple trauma to ongoing danger, which we call complex trauma or complex PTSD. And so that is now where it gets really subtle. So there's an element of ongoing danger that can be lots of little abuse, big T events for a person that just happen in a home where a child is beat up, mom is beat up, etc. But there's now what we call little T trauma. And this is where it gets really subtle. And so little T trauma is when something good should have happened to you, but it doesn't. So big T trauma is when something bad happens to you. Little T trauma is the absence of something good happening to you. So a child should be loved unconditionally. A child should be accepted for who they are. A child should connect. A child should be able to be authentic, but they're not able. Their emotional needs are not being met. That's trauma. That's little T trauma. That's the result of neglect. It seems invisible because you go, nothing bad happened to me. But to your nervous system and your brain, terrible stuff is happening, because what is happening inside the child who is feeling that my needs are not being met, I'm not being accepted, I am being nobody wants to connect with me, is must be my fault. I must be a terrible person. Now I'm afraid that anybody that gets to know me is going to reject me and abandon me, and I feel all alone. I can't connect with anybody. It just feels like it's me against the big bad world. So now they feel in fear all the time, even though there's potentially not a lot of scary stuff happening, but they just feel totally alone in the world. So what we know is that over 80% of people in the world have this little t type of trauma. But most go, well, nothing bad happened to me, so I must not have trauma. But little t trauma affects the nervous system just as badly as big T trauma. And it actually, because if it's ongoing, what begins to happen, and now we come to the next thing, is if it happens to a child, fight or flight, which is the normal responses of how you get away from danger, is you either run away or you defeat it. Those no longer work because you need these people in your life to meet your needs. So you're too little to fight them and you're too little to run away. So now you go to freeze, you dissociate. So instead of escaping to an external world, you now escape to an internal world where you feel safe. But also then you fawn, you now have to learn how to get these people that you don't want to connect with you, that are judging you, that are not accepting you, seeing you, hearing you. How do you get them to meet your needs? So now you learn to be whatever they want you to be. You learn to people please. You learn to wear masks. You learn to be sensitive to their beliefs, their moods, their needs. And you think, if I can just take care of them, then maybe they'll take care of me. And so a child then is basically adapting in hundreds of different ways to become what others want them to be, to try to get their needs met, to try to get love, to try to get respect, to try not to get hurt. And so adaptation after adaptation in order to survive. But what they don't realize is that those adaptations, which enabled them to survive and got some of their needs met. Well, think of some of those adaptations. You don't trust anybody. You got to manipulate in order to get your needs met. You wear masks all the time. You never say no. You people please. 20, 30 years later, you're now in a relationship, committed relationship. You have kids. If you live off of those same adaptations, you destroy your relationships. You hurt the people that you love and you hurt yourself. So those adaptations now become evident as maladaptations. But the problem is complex trauma in a child, you don't see the results till 20, 30 years later, that this is a big issue. This is not working. This is causing problems. And so that's basically a quick overview of trauma. And I'm going to really focus in on the complex trauma part with the little t stuff. But big T is partly included in all of that. And what I hope you realize is that trauma is on a spectrum from very severe to very mild, but it all results in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, in maladaptations, and it all results in affecting your nervous system in similar ways. So we're going to focus today on the mind, and I just want you to see how trauma affects the brain. So the bottom line is trauma affects the mind, it affects your immune system, it affects your nervous system, it affects your relationships, how you cope. Everything in your life it affects negatively. And that's, to me, the tragedy of trauma and why we need to understand it. So the very first thing is when somebody's in danger and their stress system is activated, the brain releases cortisol. Cortisol then gets adrenaline pumping, and that gives you the energy to fight or flight. Cortisol is designed to be only kind of short bursts that get you to safety. Then the cortisol stops, your body and everything returns to normal, and then you can go back to being healthy and safe again. But the problem is, what happens if a child never gets to safety? They're always feeling in danger. It's complex trauma. Cortisol is always pumping. And when cortisol is always pumping, it now begins to do damage in the brain. So between the right lobe and the left lobe, there's a bridge called the corpus callosum that joins the two. Cortisol begins to erode, burn that bridge. And so what is important to understand, that your brain stores memories. Parts of a memory get stored in the left lobe, parts of the memory get stored in the right lobe. So details in one lobe, emotions in another. And the corpus callosum allows you, if you have a detail, it connects you to the emotion. If you have an emotion, it connects you to the detail. If the bridge is gone, what now happens is you have memory gaps. But all of a sudden you could have an emotional flashback and you could be just going crazy emotionally, but you don't have a clue why. Or you can remember tons of details about what happened to you, and you can read or you can recite, yeah, I was raped, I was molested, this happened. And it's like you're reading a dictionary. There's zero emotion because there's no connection. And so most people with complex trauma struggle with memory gaps or emotional flashbacks, or they have lots of details but no emotion. Once a person's to safety and cortisol stops, that bridge will start to heal, and then some memory stuff will start to happen again. And that's when you need a group and a therapist to help you through that. But the second thing is the brain has developed, the brainstem is the first part that develops, and that's all of your autonomic functions, your pulse, your heartbeat, your digestion, your blood pressure, etc. That's what keeps you alive. Then above that develops the limbic system. That's the child's brain. And I'm really simplifying it, but that's your survival system. That's your emotion center. And then above that is the cortex, the cerebral cortex, which is your adult brain, your thinking brain, where you reason and make decisions and think long-term and all of those things. Complex trauma or trauma puts you in danger, which is the fear emotion, which puts you into your limbic brain. Complex trauma, ongoing danger, keeps you in your limbic brain. And so if you think about the child brain, the limbic brain, it's quite interesting because a child makes decisions based on how is it going to make me feel? Is it going to give me instant gratification? So if you offer a child a chocolate bar or broccoli, usually they pick chocolate bar because it makes them feel good. They're not thinking 10, 20 years down the road. The limbic brain doesn't do that. And so you ask a child also, you need to do your homework, and their response is, I don't feel like it. So reasoning is guided by how they're feeling in the moment. Decisions are made based on, will it make me feel good? Short term, not long term. And so that's why a child can make foolish decisions, because they're only thinking instant gratification. But a child grows to their teens and then to their adult life, where their cortex, they begin to think long term. They begin to make decisions not based on how they're feeling, but based on what's going to be good and healthy in the long term. And so if a child has complex trauma, that brain development doesn't happen properly. And so they continue to be controlled by the limbic brain, even into adult life. And so even in the 30s, 40s, 50s, they're still controlled by that instant gratification, impulsive thinking that's guided by how they feel, thinking that the truth is what feels right, not the evidence. And so the limbic brain becomes a huge issue in keeping people kind of emotionally immature and stuck at a very emotionally immature place. And then brain fog. When the stress system is activated, cortisol is released, that begins to shut down the cerebral cortex, and you don't think as clearly. You get quite foggy. And then the final one, and what we're going to focus on, is all kinds of subconscious brain beliefs develop in complex trauma. And so if you think of a child who comes into the world with great instincts, and they go, I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to love. I'm going to connect to people. That's how you be happy. That's their basic instinct. So they go to connect. They are authentic and they love unconditionally, and they get rejected. They get judged. They get punished. What do they then learn? They believe that authenticity equals rejection. Authenticity never leads to connection. It always leads to pain. And so they begin to develop these beliefs or complex trauma math. And what is key to understand is authenticity leads to connection with safe people. In their world, authenticity with unsafe people is what led to pain. But in their mind, their math became authenticity is always bad, never be authentic, never connect, never trust. All of their natural instincts now, they believe a lie. But the lie to them seems like the truth. And that becomes their subconscious programming. And so take it further, what comes out of their belief system is the reason nobody's connecting with me, the reason my needs are not being met, the reason that I'm not being loved is I must be a bad person. It must be my fault. I'm the problem. I must not be good enough. I must not be valuable. And then what comes out of that? Well, if I have no value, my only way of getting respect is I must have a beautiful body. I must be really smart. Must have lots of money. I must have a great position, lots of possessions. I must always be doing stuff for others, earning respect. And so their whole value system is now based on lies. And then beyond that, the only way to get love is you got to earn it first. Nobody's going to just love you. And so they have to earn love. And so all of those beliefs now become programs in their mind that control them as they go into adult life. And now they go into relationships. And then in the next talk, I'm going to talk about how that then sets up prisons for their mind. But that's our introduction, Leo.
Right, right. I can see a lot of people are really relating in the chat in all the mechanisms that you mentioned. So can you explain to us like why these coping mechanisms create really compulsive behaviors? You call them maladaptations, like people pleasing, the inability to say no, but there's a lot of also self-sabotaging sometimes, anxiety, emotional shutdown. Can you tell us how can we break free from these type of brain mechanism?
So you wanted me to go in the next section now, Leo?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So let me give you just a couple of examples. So the first one would be, so a child is trying to connect and they get rejected. And they're being authentic and they get judged. And so they feel abandoned and nobody's there for them. Nobody's got their back. Parents are there once in a while, but parents are too busy. Parents have their own issues. And so they just have this tremendous feeling of being alone and being abandoned, that nobody really sees them, cares for them. And the pain, to me, one of the most painful emotions in the world is abandonment, because that basically says I must be a zero, that nobody wants to be with me. And so that then creates a terrible fear that I never want to be abandoned again. But you also have an instinct that I want to connect. I want intimacy. I want love. And so now I want connection, but I'm afraid of connection. I want intimacy, but I'm afraid of intimacy. So what happens is that fear of abandonment's at a deep subconscious control program level that you might not even be aware of. You just think you're in love with somebody, you get into a relationship, but then it starts getting closer and it triggers your fear that they're going to get to know you, and everybody that gets to know you abandons you. And that now causes you to go into behaviors to try to prevent abandonment. But what you actually do is create abandonment. So you become super needy. You text them 50 times a day. You ask them 100 times a week, do you love me? Are you going to leave me? You begin to test them. Are you cheating on me? You push them away to see if they're going to chase you. You do all these little games with them to test them, to be needy, and you just wear them out. You drive them away. And so what you think you're in love and you think you want an intimate relationship, but your fear of abandonment is so deep that it's actually triggering stuff. And then if they ever don't give you 100% attention, or it seems like they're criticizing you or disrespecting you or not understanding you perfectly, you go, oh, okay, that's it. You're rejecting me. You're about to leave me. And you just flip out and you go from 0 to 100 in a nanosecond, and you lash out in a panic, in a fear that you're going to abandon me. So what you've created is a prison now that you don't want to be abandoned, but you can't break out of all of these behaviors out of your fear of abandonment, and you end up actually creating that the person's going to abandon you. And then another thing that happens is you sabotage. So a child has this innate ability to hope. So if you think of this child that couldn't connect, wasn't getting their needs met, their brain is in pain, but it's coming up with options as what I can do to fawn. What can I do to get my parents to like me, to meet my needs, to want to connect with me? And it, let's say, comes up with 100 different options. I can get better marks at school. I can do more chores at home. I can take an interest in dad's favorite activities and sports. And if he likes football, I'll like football, all of those different things. So a child starts on option A, gets their hopes up. Okay, now I'm going to get love. My needs are going to get met. I won't get hurt anymore. And they get their hopes up, and then they still don't get their needs met. And so they get pain again, but also now they get their hopes dashed. But the brain goes, that's not a problem. I'll go on to option B. And so now I'm going to get better marks at school. I'm going to get straight A's. And they do that, and they get their hopes up again, and then they get dashed. And so now they get the pain of not getting straight A's, but now they get dashed hopes. And that can go on for years. The child just keeps hoping because there's still another option that this might work, this might work, this might work. But eventually they get to the point where they go, you know what? It hurts too much to get our hopes dashed. It hurts too much. This is not going to happen. I'm never going to get my needs met. I'm not going to connect. I'm not going to get accepted. Stop hoping. Because when you start to hope, you're setting yourself up to get extra hurt. So fast forward 20, 30 years, they get into a relationship with a very healthy person. And it's a wonderful relationship. And all of a sudden they start to hope that they're finally going to have a meaningful relationship. And the back of their brain goes, don't hope. Because every time you've hoped, you've been let down and your hopes have been dashed. So the best thing to do right now would be to sabotage this relationship. Get it over with. Stop the pain before it starts. You bring an end to it yourself. And so what they now do is sabotage any growth, any positive thing in their life, because it reignites hope. And their brain is afraid of hope. So it wants good things, but it's afraid to hope for good things. So it now sabotages, and that creates a prison. So now every time you start to grow and heal, you then sabotage it and you're back to where you started. And then a third one, and I'll give to you, is the child learns early on in fawning that if I'm going to get my needs met, my needs, in a relationship, I have to put my needs down and make the other person's needs all important. So I got to become attuned to their needs, their emotions, their thinking, and self-sacrifice, deny my needs, and just put them first and give. That's the only way to get loved and to get acknowledged. And so what a child actually is doing is learning codependency, fawning, that relationships are a superior person and an inferior person. And if you want love, you got to go to the inferior person and you got to play that role. And if they don't, if they ever stood up for themselves and expressed their needs, they got told that they were selfish. They got told that they were a narcissist, that they were a bad person. They got punished for it, and that they weren't loving. So they got told all these messages that train their conscience that if you ever stand up for your needs and express your needs, you're a selfish, unloving, narcissistic person. That's terrible. And so now they've been trained that way. That's their relationship template. That's in their subconscious. That's in their belief system. And so what I want you to see is all their belief system is based on lies, but that's their belief system. That was true in their world. That was unsafe people. Now they get into adult life and they go into a relationship and they make themselves small. And they think the way to get love is to make yourself really small, make the other person really big. And they set up relationships, superior, inferior, and they actually set up relationships to fail and have potential abuse. And so that to me is, and we could go on, there's just prison after prison that people set up in their subconscious based on that complex trauma math that was actually lies that they built their life on and their relationships on and how they cope. Another one I would just quickly add is that they set up this perfectionist thing. If I'm going to get love and respect, I got to be perfect. And they have this strong, unrealistic standard for themselves and a strong and internal critic that I got to be very hard on myself, never give myself a break, and just control myself totally and be perfect. And so now they go into adult life and they're just pushing themselves, hard on themselves, never giving themselves a break, and they burn themselves out. And they're always down on themselves and they get depressed and defeated because the bar was set unrealistically high. And that's a prison they can't escape because they think if I ever lower the bar and say I'm human, then I'm bad and I'm a weakling and nobody will respect me. So healing from this, and we're going to spend so much time on this, and I just want to give a quick summary to it. Number one, you can't heal trauma unless you're with safe people. If you're still in an unsafe environment, you're going to have a lot of difficulty healing trauma because you're still going to need those survival tools to try to keep safe. So being with safe people becomes critical. But secondly, with safe people, healing trauma, like Gabor said, is not just learning information, though that is essential. The more information, that's fantastic. But you got to connect with safe people. And that is super challenging for people from complex trauma because every time in their childhood they tried to connect, they got hurt. And now we're asking them to connect as the path to healing. And so that's a scary road to risk trusting, opening up, being vulnerable and authentic again, but it is so essential and it leads to deep, deep healing.
Right.
Then the next thing that to me is so important to understand is, so Gabor again talked about our approach in the West, very intellectual. And so we've used what we call a top-down approach. So let's give the cerebral cortex lots of information about new tools, what healthy looks like. All of that is so important. How to calm themselves down. If they're upset, how to talk to themselves. All of that is important, but we put all our eggs in that one basket. And what people begin to realize is that works a lot of the time, but not all the time. Sometimes you get triggered so profoundly that you can't talk yourself down. You can't think yourself down. You can't even think. And so bottom-up therapy has become such an important part of understanding trauma healing. And bottom-up therapy, so it's based on the brain. So top-down is you start with the cortex, the top of the brain. Bottom-up is you calm the brain down through the brain stem. So the brain stem, the limbic brain are activated in survival mode. They're panicking. They're dysregulated. So you calm them down, not with information, but through somatic exercises. So breathing, yoga, tapping, through
Right.
pet therapy, art therapy, dance therapy, movement, all kinds of different ways to calm the brain down. So it's learning to regulate that limbic brain, get
Right.
yourself to a grounded place so you can get back to your cortex and operate out of a wise brain. Because if you
Some of those actually we're gonna be doing today and also
Exactly.
probably tomorrow. Tim, if you had a few last words before we give the microphone to Marisa for the next part.
Yeah, I would just very quickly share that there's an element of, to me, therapy that you can do very rapidly. There's a lot of intense, quick healing in the early days, but then there's an element that's just long term. You stick at it, and healing happens sporadically, but at times of triggering. And I like to use the illustration, and I'll end with this, of the reverse bicycle experiment, where we're trained to ride a bicycle a certain way, and that becomes part of our subconscious programming, so we can ride a bike and not even pay attention to it, talk to everybody as we're going along, because our subconscious programs are riding the bike for us, and they're complex. But somebody created a bike where the handlebars went the opposite direction. So if you turn the handlebars to the left, the wheel went to the right. And they were curious, how long would it take a person to ride a backwards bike? And it took 6 months to a year. Now, what was significant is in a nanosecond, they could get the concept and understand it. Turn it to the left, the wheel goes to the right. That's easy. I got it in my cortex, simple. But it took 6 months to a year to change the subconscious programs. And so it's just realizing that this is have patience with yourself in this journey. It does take a long time to reprogram all of that programming.
Right, thank you, Tim. And it does take a long time, and it requires a lot of constant work, I would say. Marisa, maybe after having described all the mechanisms behind this mental prison, can you explain to us why does insights alone doesn't bring you to really rewire your brain, and how can you actually reconnect with your authentic self? Marisa, I think you're on mute.
Here we are. Can you hear me?
There you go. Perfect. Thank you.
One of the rules of the brain is that in a battle between emotion and logic doesn't get a look in. You know, we can't. When I went to the CNN tower in Canada to look down, people were actually crying. They knew that it was safe. The floor was glass, but the emotional brain said, "Are you crazy? Get away from the edge, you fool." So our emotion will defeat logic. And the logic says, my parents didn't love me. Well, they were drug addicts. They were not well. And we try to use our logical brain to get better, but the emotional brain runs the show. So we know all of this. I know why I keep attracting addicts. I know why my relationship, I know why I drink. I know why I use drugs. I know all of it, but I'm still doing it and I can't seem to stop because knowledge is not enough. Understanding can be very powerful. But what I want to do today with everyone is to find the pattern, understand the pattern, change the pattern. So we've had a lot of amazing work from our first two speakers, really true geniuses on understanding the pattern. But my role here is to actually show you how to change it, because it's important to understand what makes me tick. Why do I do that? You know, I've worked with people who, because they haven't got enough, compulsively shoplift. They have so much money, but they still have to go out and steal things because their brain says, I'm owed, I didn't get love, the world owes me something. If I lift groceries, somehow I feel I'm getting payback. And their logic know that that's a crazy thing to do, but they can't stop it, you know. And then I've had clients who hoard because we don't feel enough. So when you were talking earlier about young children feeling abandoned, what happens is we very quickly think, I'm not enough. A child, when a parent is not meeting a child's needs, when a child is aware, oh, my needs aren't being met here, they don't stop loving their parent, they immediately stop loving themselves. They go, my mum is mean to me. guess I'm not a very nice person. My dad is always at work. He doesn't visit. I guess I'm not worthy of his love. So we buy into this. It's my fault. I'm not enough. We begin to doubt ourselves. We stop loving ourselves. And then when someone turns up to love us, we go, what's wrong with you? Why do you want to love me? I'm unlovable. So I created the I'm Enough movement because I saw so many smart, intelligent people, capable, gifted, talented, but they always had this belief, if you really got to know me, you'd say I'm not enough. I'm just a fraud. I've seen it across the music industry, seen it everywhere, from movie stars and athletes to school teachers to police officers to anyone. 80% of us have imposter syndrome, women, and 40% of men have imposter syndrome. But almost all of us have, to some level, this feeling of I'm not enough. I'm not attractive enough. I'm not interesting enough. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not good enough. And we buy into it because a child must idolize their parent. If you work out, hey, my dad's crazy, my mum's an alcoholic, I mean, that's just terrifying for a child to realize that their parents are inadequate. So what they do is they idolize the parents, they turn it on themselves. This is my fault. So I just got to have to shape up. I was listening to Princess Diana's brother talking, and he said something. He said, when I was taken to boarding school at 11 and dropped off, I thought, oh, I'm not shaping up as a son. They're sending me away. I mean, his parents were spending, I don't know, $75,000 a year on his education, but his feeling was, I'm being sent away. I'm clearly a disappointment as a son. So when he began to be sexually abused as well, he never told anybody because he said, but they sent me away. Someone put a note here about what adopted children, and you can have adopted children over and over. Your parents loved you so much. They go, yeah, but why didn't they keep me then? Because the emotional brain is going to beat the logical brain. The emotional brain is I wasn't loved, so I'm not lovable. So that's what we come up against. Children turn it on themselves. They idealize their parents. They stop loving themselves. They buy into they're not enough, and then they take that with them. And they believe they're not enough. And so when someone wants to love them, although they're very happy to accept that, sometimes they begin to think, well, what's wrong with you? It's like that guy who said, I'd never join a club that would have me as a member. So this is our problem. Children don't have any choice but to turn it in on themselves because it's too scary to realize your parents are not good enough to raise you. Way too scary. And, you know, I work with a lot of famous people. And people say, oh, you know, doesn't fame damage people? Actually, I've seen the opposite. Damaged people want to be famous so much because then they'll finally have love. But then what happens is when the world starts to love, you go, oh, but you love this body, this voice. And if you love me, well, what's wrong with you? And so we've looked at people. We could see it happening with Britney Spears. We saw that happening with Amy Winehouse, with Whitney Houston, all the talent in the world, all the adulation. Having other people love you doesn't matter and doesn't help your wound if you don't feel lovable. So, of course, the answer is, when we're talking about the problem, what is the answer? The answer is to do deep work, to know you're enough, to know you're loved, to accept that the parents who couldn't, for whatever reason, love you and failed you are not going to turn up and make it better. You know, often we think, but one day these mean withholding people will become lovely. Well, sometimes no. Sometimes mean withholding parents become mean withholding old people. They don't become sweet and kind. They might, but they might not. So we have to start to parent ourselves. We have to go, okay, are there some tools out there? Can I do something to feel I'm enough? Can I feel worthy of love? Can I receive love and give love? Because when we're born on the planet, we have two drivers: find connection and avoid rejection. And we go through life trying to find connection and avoid rejection, except when we're so rejected, we can't find connection. We find more rejection. And we have social media. We escape into a world of 500 friends, but none of them turning up when you're sick with some soup and a hug for you because they're not there. So now it's a million times worse because people have got lost in social media. We don't even have the communities we had before that may have helped someone that was suffering. So our only option now is, can we find a way to start healing our pain? Can we find a way of building our self-esteem, our self-worth, our self-value, our self-image? Can we say, hey, It's like there's I actually used to own the garden in Notting Hill where they filmed Love Actually, and she says in one of the scenes, "I'm just a girl asking just a boy if he can love it." Most of us could never do that. I couldn't ask someone to love me. I can't even love myself. How can I ask you to love me if I can't love me? But I loved that line. I'm just a girl asking just a boy if he could love me. But the real line should be, can I fall in love with myself? Can I love who I am and then go out and go, look, I'm enough. I'm not perfect, but I'm good enough. I'm lovable enough just the way I am. And that's so important to be able to do the work. And it's not really work. I don't even like to call it work, but to spend some time with ourselves is what I'm going to do with you tonight, to help you do some very simple things that really help you to build your self-worth, build your self-esteem. Because when you build your self-worth, your self-esteem, the world joins you at that level. When it's down here, they join you down there. So it's no one else's job to go, hey, can I show up in your life and love you and make you feel amazing, as lovely as that is? People can't show up and love you until you feel worth it. You know, you have to believe 80% of it comes from this mindset of I'm worthy of love. We're all worthy of love. Every baby is born saying, of course you're going to love me. I have a friend called Sammy Shoebox. He was called Sammy Shoebox because he was put in the Philippines in a shoebox, put on a rubbish tip. But he cried all day. People went to work, thought it was a cat meowing. When they came back, it was still going on, and somebody found him. He was sent to America, adopted. He's now quite a famous DJ. But I love that story because it was his tenacity. That newborn baby had a belief, someone's coming because I'm worth it. And then what happens? Well, someone doesn't come. We don't put our parents, I shouldn't have had you, should have been a boy, should have been a girl. Why can't you do this? Your brother was so smart. And we begin to think, oh, or my dad's always at work. My father was always at work. And very early on, I thought, oh, he likes work more than us. He prefers work to me. He goes to work all the time because it gives him more than I do. Because what else could I have believed? My father prefers to be at work than home because work is more meaning to him than I am. So I felt not enough, of course. It's so easy for it to happen. But the question is, how can we fix it? What can we do? And that there are tools that you can do every day that make you start to build your sense of self-worth, because it's no one else's job to turn up and make you feel good enough. It's your job. And that's actually fantastic news, because you can do it better than anyone else. I had to do it myself. I changed my whole life by doing it myself. And we can all do it ourselves. It's actually not hard. What's hard is staying the same, being alone, being loveless, being self-destructive, self-sabotaging, hoarding, using. All these things come from not feeling enough, but it's not even true. The truth is you're so enough. You're lovable, but you got to know how to get better.
Right. Such a great message of hope, I think, for people, and also such a great build up to your first experience.
Yes.
But actually, before we go to your experience, I'd like to just take a few moments to present the Heal Masterclass that we created with Gabor, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
So we'll take a few minutes, but already, you know, I wanted to know in the chat, did you like this first part? Did you get something from it? What's the biggest really learning that you got from it? Let us know in the chat. It's always nice for us to know. And in the meantime, I'd like to take a few minutes to present the Gabor Maté Masterclass that we built this year. Now, I'd like to start by asking the audience if any of you have already taken the Heal Masterclass, and how did you find it? Did you find it useful? What is your review of it? And in the meantime, let me explain quickly. So we built Mentor Show to tackle the most widespread mental struggle that there is, suffering from trauma. I think Tim said about 80% of people worldwide experience at least one traumatic event during their lifetime. 80%. So it's enormous. And also that's why there's so many of us today. And the thing is, if you don't address it, it has enormous costs, just because it can range from anxiety, from broken relationships, addictions, physical illness, a lot of compulsive behaviors that we talked about during this first part. But at Mentor Show, we started from one belief. It's that you can break free, you can heal, and besides what anyone can tell you, and besides probably how you sometimes might feel, well, you can actually heal. But you will not heal by just watching inspiring videos on YouTube or anywhere else as it matter. You will heal in practice. What you need is to create new habits, to practice your healing. In fact, healing is a little bit like exercise. Take swimming, for example. You're not going to get good at swimming just by watching videos on how to swim and how to do the movements, right? You need to actually swim. Then your body will change, your brain will change. And this is why we created the Heal Masterclass. So let's see what people said in the chat. I can see Emily, thank you for this live. The Gabor Masterclass really opened my eyes. I feel lighter every day. I can see David, who said, honestly, I've tried many things, but nothing impacted me like Gabor's words. Or I can see Jessica as well. I started the Masterclass last week and I already feel my relationships are different. So what's in this masterclass? Why is it working for some people? Well, it's very simple. It's because it's called Heal. It's a 4-step program, and it goes as follows. First, the first chapter is H, like hearing the pain. So hearing the pain it's very simple. It's how can you fix the pain if you don't understand it, right? So here the idea is, how do I get to the root of my pain, of my depression, my stress, my anxiety, my physical pain? How can I trace actually the symptoms of trauma in my life? And here Gabor gives a few maps to decipher. There are also some self-discovery protocols to better understand how the trauma impacts my life, my character, my relationships, the events in my life. The next part is E, because once you've understood, then, so many people were asking us, how do I go from actually mentally understanding what happens to me to actually changing it in my body and really healing on a deeper level? And this is the idea of this chapter. You're going to discover strategies, new routines, a few toolboxes to really try and implement Gabor's learnings, but in your day-to-day life. This is the main part of the Heal Masterclass. After we go into A, like align your relationships, because once I've built the tools to really heal myself, then obviously it's a whole other thing to manage my relationships. So here the question is, how can I protect my relationship and also prevent relationships from making me relapse? And also a question that, we got a lot, which is how to protect my children from my trauma and from trauma in general. So there's a whole section here on parenting and protecting my children. And last but not least, it's L, lifelong healing. This is actually my favorite part because, while sometimes you can feel like there's real change for a moment, but then you fall back into old habits. And we really wanted to build a masterclass that you can still carry with you, even after you're done watching. So Gabor here really uncovers what tools you can carry in your everyday life, even after the end of the masterclass. So overall, we have dozens of practical exercises. There's written exercises that you're going to do in your healing diary, as we called it. There are somatic exercises, meditations that are delivered by Gabor himself. A lot of routines, a daily practice, a weekly practice. There's also an emergency kit for, sometimes things go out of control, and it's very hard to manage those moments. And here there's a special emergency kit, first aid kit, that is built by Gabor to help you in those moments. And also, there's something that is actually quite incredible. It's that there are some live consultations where you can see Gabor in action, and he actually creates a real spark of change in participants that are there during the shooting. It's quite mesmerizing, and hopefully, we made it so that it can become contagious for you. So a lot of people are asking now, how can I get this masterclass? How can I join Heal? So normally you would have to choose between two paths, right? There's usually two options. Option one on the left is you get the Heal masterclass, you get the complete step-by-step masterclass. There's about 7 hours of content. There's everything you need to start your healing journey at home. And option two is the Heal masterclass with everything in option one, basically. But also there are weekly live sessions for 1 year with trauma specialized coaches. So one of them actually is Daniel Maté, which is Gabor's son. And you will have a kickoff session with him at the beginning of the program if you take it. In total, you have more than 50 sessions where you can ask your questions, you can get some advice, you can keep your momentum, and you can be with a community to try and overcome roadblocks. Because sometimes people feel a little bit alone behind the screen, and here the idea is that you're not alone anymore. And you also get in this option two, exclusive webinars like this one, where we dive into deeper topics, key topics on trauma. And you'll also have all the future healing masterclasses with the world's leading experts and many more that are already confirmed. So here is the Healing Day surprise. It's that you don't have to choose between these two options. We wanted to make it very simple and very easy for you. So the offer is you get everything in option two for less than the price of option one. So for Healing Days only, we're going to be removing that choice entirely, and you get everything in Mentorship Plus. So that's the Heal Masterclass of Gabor, all the weekly live coaching, you get all the exclusive webinars, you get all the upcoming masterclasses with world-leading experts. And this is just for $399. That's a 66% discount only during the Healing Days. So now you'll see a window appear on the side of the chat. Also, you'll get a QR code that you can scan, and you'll be asked to sign up, enter your email and the password, and then you'll be able to join directly the masterclass, and you'll get immediate access. Just one last thing before we get to the experience that Marisa has prepared for us, and also the Q&A that's going to come in just a second. With this offer and for the Healing Days, we give you an incredible guarantee. We call it the 100% risk-free guarantee. And it goes as follows. So if you complete the program, the Heal Masterclass, you watch it, you watch the complete masterclass, and you do the exercises in your healing diary. This is the notebook for your exercises. And at the end of it, you still think it's not for you. You can ask for your money back. That's how confident we are that it can have a very profound impact in your life. That really, this course is meant to work for you. You will feel satisfied. And therefore, we decided to remove the risk completely for you. And we just take the risk on our side, if I can say. This is about removing every obstacle between you and real change. There's no reason not to take this opportunity to finally really take care of yourself, because if you complete the program, the exercises and you need your money back for whatever reason, like you're unhappy with the content, you don't like it anymore, you need the money back for some reason, you can get it back provided you've watched the course and you've done the exercises. So you just send us the pictures of the exercises in your healing diary, and you contact us, you contact info@mentorshow.com, and we'll refund you. This is the 100% risk-free guarantee. I mean, I think it's rare to see something like this. It's basically, if you don't like it, you get a refund. So we know but we know you're going to like it. And why do we know? Because this is what people say about the Heal Masterclass. We've launched it since a few months now, so we have some feedback from people. Not going to read all of them, but there are, for example, 20 years of therapy didn't come close to the healing I received listening. This is a feedback from John. There's, for example, what can I read? Jane, who said, I truly wish the Maté Heal method was practiced in mental health facilities everywhere. As a therapist, I can say I learned more to help clients through this program than in graduate school. Mary, who says, each one of these lessons is just amazing. Clearly, I'll be doing the class more than once to catch all these teachings. So there's thousands of feedback from people, very positive feedback. So that's why we're very confident that it can help you. All right, so just one last thing before we move on. The offer that I presented is limited for the first 500 clients. Why is that? Because we've carefully selected a small group of coaches, including Daniel Maté, and people who are really specialized in trauma. So we don't have that many coaches, right? So we have to limit the number of people who can get in, just to ensure that everyone gets the right level of attention and quality. So there's going to be only 500 spots left. So once again, if you want to join, there's a QR code. It's right there. And you can also type mtor.sh/heal. And then you can sign up. All right. So this is it for the presentation of the Heal Masterclass. And now we can get to the first experience of Marisa. Marisa, to you.
I'm all ready. Thank you so much. So when a child's needs aren't met, I'm only going to talk for a minute. We're going to go straight into it. I much prefer to do it than talk. But when a child's needs are not met, they get something called learned helplessness and learned hopelessness. I can't fix this, but I must. I can't do this myself, but I must. And it's a kind of tag they then wear their whole life. And I love that expression. We play the only part we've ever known, and then we make that part our very own. And for many of us, that part is someone who can't be loved, can't function well in the world. So when our needs are not met, we only have two choices as we become older, and they're very clear. Our needs are very simple when we're a little baby. My daughter's got this sweetest little baby. I spend time with him, and all he knows is love. He trusts everyone. He's happy. I think, gosh, every baby should have what he has, but of course they don't. I didn't have that. Luckily, he does. So when we're born on the planet, we don't need much. We need to feel loved. We need to feel safe. We need to feel significant, and we need to feel connected. We have a drive to feel connected, safe, significant, and loved. And for many of us, we don't feel that. We may feel some of it, some of the time, but most of us go through life, and I've been in therapy for so long, every client I see doesn't have that. But what happens when these needs are not met? What happens is two things. We learn very quickly to give up. I'm never going to find love. I'm never going to be anybody. Things are not going to work out, and we give up. Some people really give up. They get some cats, some dogs. Bridget Bardo said, I wasted all my life with men. Dogs never lie, never cheat, never let me down. And I like to be with animals. I feel safe. So that's giving up. I don't expect love. I don't want love. I don't expect anything. I've given up. The other option is to give it away. I'm going to find someone out there, and they're going to turn up, and they're going to fix everything. They're going to love me. And Tim talked a lot about, we find that then we don't trust them. We go through their phone. We go, do you really love me? Are you sure? Are you going to leave me? What have I done wrong? So we give the need up, or we give it to someone else. It's your job. And we usually give that to a partner, but we can give it to friend. Sometimes we give it to our kids. I've had this baby and they're going to love me and they're going to make everything. But occasionally we give it to a therapist. I'm here and you've got to fix me. I've seen that sometimes. But actually there's a third way, and it's the only way. And that way is to do it yourself, to learn to meet your own needs for connection, significance, safety, love. There are some other needs: being seen and heard, being celebrated, being proud of yourself. So let's start right now. We're not going to do hypnosis. We're going to do that in the next bit, but let's just close our eyes. Please close your eyes. There's nothing for you to do except tune in. And I want you to imagine you're looking at a video of you on a screen right now, and you're pressing the button that says rewind. And the movie of your life starting today is going backwards. You're going back in time. That movie of your life is rewinding, running back. You go further back, even further back. Years, months, weeks, days are peeling away from bodies. You go back in time. Your eyes are closed. Just imagining one thing. What if the movie of my life could rewind and rewind and rewind and go back to that little kid who suddenly noticed their needs were not being met? So just imagine you can go back in time to meet that child. It's like you're in a time tunnel going backwards, going back in time, further back. You're going back to meet a little kid whose needs were not met and who realized the needs were not being met and who found that quite scary. So suddenly that movie is stopping, and you're standing outside a childhood home. It doesn't matter if you had many. You're standing outside a childhood home. You're standing outside the front door, and you are drawn like a magnet to your childhood bedroom. And you're reaching out your hand, and you have your hand on that bedroom door handle that you knew so well. On the other side of that door is you as a small child. And you know that you as a child is on the other side of that door. And that child knows that you're them as a grown-up, and they have a complete affinity with you. They understand you completely. They're going to tell you anything. So go ahead and open that door. Walk into that room, and there, waiting as a little kid that you know so well. This is you as a small child. Could be a baby, could be a toddler, could be an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old. But it's a child that you know very well. And just as you know that child is you, they know that you are the grown-up version of them. And I want you to quite literally put your arms around yourself. Really do this properly. Don't just listen. Put your arms around yourself. Imagine you're holding that little kid. I want you to sit on the bed, sit them on your knee, sit them by your side. But I want you to put your arms on. I want you to say some words, word for word. You're going to repeat these words out loud. Don't mumble. Say them. I promise you, it's going to make a world of difference. You have so much power to fix yourself. And the first thing I want you to say, repeat this, is, I'm becoming a loving parent to you. So say that, hold that child, look at them. If they're a little baby, you can even rock them in your arms. I want you to say out loud, I am becoming a loving parent to you now. Repeat this one. No one in the whole world can play the role of loving parent to you like I can. Let's do that again. I want you to say it and feel it. Don't mumble it. Words have energy. And some words have really good energy, and these words have good energy. So repeat after me. No one in the world can play the role of loving parent to you like I can. I love you completely. I want you to say everything I'm saying with feeling. I love you completely. I love you unconditionally. I will always have time for you. You and I have balance now. There's nothing we can't do. I love you. I'm here for you. I want you to think of some things that you never heard. Maybe you never heard that you were pretty or cute or smart or interesting or clever or engaging or the favorite, whatever you didn't hear. This is your chance to fix. I've been looking in the chat, but I said, this is all great, but how do I fix it? How do I fix it? This is the how. What you didn't hear, the missing bit, the words you didn't hear that you deserve to hear and want to hear and need to hear, I want you to say now. Look at you. Look at you. You're cute. You're smart. You're interesting. You're beautiful. You're worth everything. And I want you to think of some other things you'd like to add, things that I may be missing, because there's a lot of people here with a lot of unmet needs. But let's do it again. You're smart. You're beautiful. You're interesting. You're worthy of my time. Parenting you is the joy of my life. You see, your brain doesn't know if what you're doing is real or imagined. One of the things about the brain that's so fascinating is it doesn't know the difference between something that's really happening or being imagined. And this is how to fix your wound. So let's do it again. I love you. I will always have time for you. You and I have balance now. There is nothing we can't do. I'll always have time for you. And I want you to imagine picking that child up and taking them back to wherever you live today. Wherever you live, imagine taking them back to the front door. So you're moving them from that home where their needs were not met, where they were neglected, where their needs were not met, and where they didn't have the ability to meet them, where they had learned helplessness and learned hopelessness. And you're teleporting them to wherever you live today, and you're standing outside the door. You're opening the door to your home, and as you walk in, you are saying these words, repeat them word for word right now. I'm upgrading you into my world. And this is a nicer, better, safer place. I'm upgrading you into my world. It's a better place, a nicer place. And now that you live with me in my world, you can never go back to that other world, not even in your daydreams. And I want you to move into your living room. And I want you to look at all the stuff you have. You probably have a smart TV, a mobile phone, stuff that you didn't have when you were a kid. They weren't even there, but you have them now. And just as you have them, and of course, these are things, you can have everything else. So I want you to look at the life you created. I want you to imagine looking out of the window. Maybe you can see your car. Looking in your wallet, you have a purse and you have credit cards. You have stuff that you didn't have. I want you to go into your bedroom and look at the person that you spend your life with. And if there isn't one, I want you to imagine there is, that very soon you're going to wake up in the arms of someone that loves you and is loved by you. I want you to open your closet and look at the clothes you have. I want you to go into your bathroom and look at all the products you have. Go into your kitchen and realize, wow, I can have breakfast for dinner and dinner for breakfast because you're free. And I want you again to go back into the living room, sit on your sofa, put that child on your knee, wrap your arms around them, hold their hand if this is next to you. And I want you to say the same thing. I am becoming a loving parent to you. Repeat every word I'm saying now. I am a loving parent to you. You live with me now in my world. It is a nicer, safer, better place. You're safe with me. And you're going to hear all the things you should have heard, that you deserve to hear. You matter. You are lovable. You're significant. You're safe. I love you. I'm here for you. I will always have time for you. I will check in with you every day. I'm going to put a picture of you as a little kid on my mirror. And if I haven't got a picture, I'll draw one. And I'm going to every day remind you that you live in my world and it's a safer place, a better place. So keep talking to that little child and reminding them you live in my world. You can't go backwards. Life doesn't go backwards, it goes forwards. I want you to imagine that if your child was a bow, and it was a horrible, shitty child, and for many of us it was sad, it was lacking in so much. But if your child was a bow and you're an arrow is fired as far away from those it can possibly go. We put an arrow in a bow and we use the bow to fire it far. Arrows never go backwards. They go forwards. They're fast, they're strong, they're sleek. And you're an arrow, you're not a bow. And you can use that bow to go far, to go as far away from the past as you can, because you're not going backwards. The past is behind you. You're not going there. The past is gone. We have the present and we have the future. And we can make it so much better by saying, okay, I'm going to be my own parent now. I'm going to parent myself. I'm going to tell myself all the stuff I didn't hear. I can say every day, hey, you're cute, you're smart, you're pretty, you're interesting, you're lovable, you're worthy. Let's do it right now. Look at that little kid and say, you are cute, you're smart, you're compelling, you deserve love. You're so lovable. Who couldn't love you? You're funny, you're interesting, you're intelligent, you're great company. I want you to think of the things you did not hear, that you've always wanted to hear. Maybe you've given someone else the job of telling them to you. Maybe you've given up. Maybe you don't expect it. But today, it's your time to tell yourself those words, to parent yourself. It is your job. And you can do this job so well. You can do this job phenomenally well. To do it again right now. You see, your mind learns by repetition. Your mind loves stuff that you repeat. So I want you to repeat it again. Again, imagine you are parenting that little kid who was so hurt, so lost, so confused, so sad, so lonely, so neglected. And if someone gave you a kid, you'd say, okay, I can do it. If someone gave you a neglected puppy, you'd know what to do. You'd feed it, stroke it, practice kindness and patience until it trusted you. But we can do this to ourselves, and we have to. So let's do it again. Hold that child and repeat these same words. I'm a loving parent to you. And I'm doing this job so profoundly, so deeply, so beautifully. I'm taking it so seriously. I have time for you. I listen to you. I check in with you. You see, there is nothing in the world that will build your self-esteem like praise. And your own praise is just as important to your brain as the praise. The fact the brain doesn't know or care where this praise comes. So think of the words you didn't hear, the praise you didn't get, and do it now. I love you. You're smart. You're amazing. You're great company. You're significant. You matter. You're interesting. You're compelling. You're beautiful. You're cute. You're wonderful. Parenting you is the joy of my life. I'm proud of you. I believe in you. So we have a few more minutes, and I really want you to add some things. So let's start with, again, you're safe. You matter. You're significant, you're enough, you're lovable. Let's do that again. You are safe. You are significant. You're lovable. You matter. You're enough. And I want you to add 5 more phrases, and it doesn't matter what they are. You might want to say you're safe to have an attractive body. You're safe to learn to trust people. You're safe to be by yourself sometimes. You're safe to walk through this world knowing that you matter, knowing that you are significant, knowing that you're here for a reason. You know, if your life was a huge clock, your childhood is the first 8 to 10 minutes, and it may not have been great, but you've got a whole 50 minutes left to make it amazing. You've got a whole life in front of you. Your school days are not the best days of your life. The best days of your life are right now as you parent yourself, believe in yourself, and as you massively, powerfully, permanently, and all pervasively raise your sense of self-worth and self-value and self-image. The world will join at that elevated level because it will radiate from you, from your very pores. So let's just take the remaining 2 minutes and just pour into that kid love, significance, connection, joy, gratitude that they're there. And then feel it pouring back to you. And this time, instead of saying to that kid, you matter, I want you to say out loud, I matter. Say it, I matter. I'm enough. I'm significant. I'm lovable. Say it again. I matter. I'm significant. I'm lovable. I'm enough. And I don't say it. I want you to state it, to embody it. I want you to shout it at the screen. I matter. I'm lovable. I'm significant. I'm enough. I always have been. And I always will be, because that is the truth about you. And as you get to accept it and let it in, it will change everything. You see, if you put balm on dry skin, you're nourishing your skin. But these words are balm for your soul. And you can nourish yourself from the inside out. So I want you to not just do this every day. I want you to think, you know, I could do this every day in the shower. What else are you going to do? Go, I love the smell of the shampoo in the shower. When the water's coming down, it's quite meditative. You can say, I matter. I'm significant. I'm safe. I'm lovable. Just 5 words. I matter. I'm significant. I'm safe. I'm lovable. If you could say that every day as you wait for the kettle to boil, the toaster to pop, the coffee to percolate in the shower, you can change your entire life, because these words have an energy and they contain the truth about you. So knowing it, feeling it, and committing to doing it. Some people do and some people don't, but you can do it. You couldn't do it as a kid because you were a dependent child. Today you're an independent adult and you can do it. You can do it amazingly, beautifully, wonderfully, majestically. There's a great person who said, boldness has genius and magic in it. Begin it now. Begin it now. So open your eyes, come back into the room. And that's our first activation for today. We're going to do another one. I'm going to hand over now and read some of your comments. And I'll see you in a minute, or very soon, for the next one. But do type in the comments how you felt. What was that child like? What did they need to hear? You see, we all suffer the same. We're all the same. So when you can see this child was hurt, this child was lonely, this child was confused, you give someone else permission to think, oh, I felt like that too. Thank you.
Thank you, Marisa. Such an incredible moment. I think I saw a lot of great comments in the chat talking about really taking care of ourselves, right? I think it was a really a self-caring moment for everyone. So give us some feedback in the chat. We're really eager to have how you felt. I actually saw a few, like, for example, there was one of Denise. I need to speak all of this to my children. I was stuck in a loop, but not anymore. Very glad to see that, Denise. Mary, who said, I'm crying while doing this exercise. Thank you. Margarita, who said, this is incredibly powerful. Tony, who said, wow, this just broke me. Thank you, Marisa. So I think a lot of gratitude for you, Marisa, and for this incredible experience that you shared with us. Tears are flowing. Thank you, Lena. Very emotional. So a lot of really positive feedback. Thank you, everyone, and very glad that you liked it. So maybe we can move on, Marisa, to the next part with the group hypnosis session.
Sure. Yes, we're going to do some hypnosis now, and it's going to be quite different, a little bit similar. One of the things about the brain is that the most vexing thing about our brain for therapists like me is the brain likes what it's already known. So when something's familiar and known, it wants to go back there. And while it likes what is familiar, it doesn't like what is unfamiliar. And so if you've never been praised and was, hey, you look great, to go, oh, no, this old thing, I really don't. Or, hey, I loved your talk. I was terrible. Didn't you notice I missed the best bit? Hey, I hear you got the best person. Yeah, the best person was sick. I got that award by mistake. So if praise is not familiar, we reject it. So here's a fact. The human brain is wired to like what is familiar and known. But here's another fact. You can make anything you like. You can put some silicone on your finger and put it in your eye every day until it becomes so familiar. You can do it without a mirror. So we've got to make good stuff for me. But here's another thing the brain likes. It really likes military style language. And I created a program called DICE. It means I direct, instruct, code, compel, condition, and empower my body to heal itself. I'm going to do something called the healing vortex and DICE combined. We're just going to go through your body and command your body to heal itself. As weird as it sounds, it's very, very powerful. It's very, very effective. You don't have to do much at all. So I'm going to take you through it, but I want you to remember this DICE: direct, instruct, command, code, compel, empower. You know, I had cancer twice, and each time I directed my body to heal itself super fast, and it did. I got run over 2.5 years ago, and I was told I would never be able to walk properly. I'd have a limp forever, and within 6 weeks I was walking. In no time at all, I was back on my feet like it never happened. But it's because I use this military type language. I commanded my body to heal itself. And you can do it for emotional things as well as physical. Pain, being alone, not having love. So what I want you to do is go through it, but I'm going to stop it and I'm going to ask you to use these words. I'm going to ask you to go, I command my heart to let love in. I command my body to trust. And I want you to use the same language. So I'll do it. But at some time I'm going to ask you to repeat these words again. No mumbling. We empower, we command. I was actually giving a talk because, you know, I listened to you and you said, I don't say I can't, I said, I demand sleep. I insist, you know, I got on a plane today and knew I was going to be up until it was 1:45 in the morning here. But I thought, well, I'll go to sleep. There's something I tell my body, I demand sleep comes to me. I insist sleep comes to me. I slept for 3 hours. I never ask. I command, direct, instruct. And the body likes that. It understands commanding language. It's like a class of children. When you go, sit up, get your pen, they do it because they understand that tone. And your body, when you say, I command myself to feel worthy of love. I command myself to sleep perfectly. I command myself to have perfect digestion. The body goes, I can do that. So let's do it now. We've got about 10 minutes, which is just enough time. So hypnosis is not scary. Does not send you to be, wakes you up to your potential. And when you get hypnotized, it's really what I call alpha brainwave training. So look at me just for a minute. You're going to look up, keep your eyeballs up, breathe in and out 3 times. On the third exhale, you're going to close the lids, but you do it that you don't go like that. You keep the eyeballs up and bring the lids down. That's how you go into an alpha brainwave, where you're highly receptive to good suggestions. It can't do any harm. You can't stay in hypnosis. And you go into hypnosis every day, but if you look up and then close your eyes, which is how I managed to give myself 3 hours sleep this afternoon, I rolled my eyes up and then said, sleep's coming to me. It's perfect. So let's do it. So make yourself comfortable. It's all about your eyes. Roll your eyes up as if you're trying to look into your very own eyebrows. Keep your eyeballs up. Breathe in, breathe out. Take another deep breath. Keep your eyeballs up. Breathe in. Breathe out, and keeping your eyeballs up, staring at your eyebrows if you can. Breathe in, keep your eyeballs up, but at the same time, just close your eyelids right down. Drop your chin. And with that looking down sensation of dropping your chin, just imagine you are looking down 10 steps. Keep your eyes closed. You're looking down 10 steps. You have that looking down sensation that you get when you look over a stairwell or down a flight of stairs. And right now, you're moving on to step 10. You can see your feet, hear your feet, feel your feet treading each step. As you move down, drift down, travel down. You're taking step 9 and 8. You're going deeper with every sound you hear. As you take step 7, the sound of your heartbeat is taking you deeper. As you take step 6, the sound of your breathing is taking you deeper. As you take step 5, the sound of my voice is taking you deeper. As you take step 4, every sound is flowing through you, taking you deeper. You're taking step 3, going deeper into an awareness of yourself. You're taking step 2 and 1. Just go deeper. And I want you to imagine hovering above your head as a vortex of energy, rather like an enormous child spinning top. rather like a good tornado. So I want you to just imagine above your head as a vortex of powerful energy spinning from left to right. This vortex is wider than your shoulders. It's going to move right through your body, keeping your body completely within its sphere. You can see it in a color that you love, a healing color. You can tune in to this kind of vibrational hum. And I want you to think of this vortex rather like the twisting brushes of a car wash. As brushes of a car wash twist and vibrate and rotate and wash off crud and old stuff. So I want you to imagine this vortex going to go through your body, vibrating out the old, washing out the old and wiring in the new. And now is a great time to start. Above your head, you can see in your mind's eye a powerful vortex of energy spinning like an enormous child spinning top, spinning from left to right. And the tail is moving into your head, touching your head, moving straight into your brain, straight into your mind. It is looking for limiting beliefs, blocking thoughts, anything that is looking for residues of trauma. What trauma did to you? The imprint. You see, an imprint is when you have a scared child. An authority figure and an imprint. And this vortex is searching like a laser for limiting imprints, limiting impressions, toxic beliefs. As it finds them, it is spinning them out of your mind, out of your body, out of your life. It is spinning through your mind, spinning fast, spinning powerfully, spinning out limiting beliefs, spinning out blocking thoughts, spinning out anything that left trauma in your body. And as it spins through your mind and finds all these beliefs that belong to the kid, all the learned helplessness, all the learned hopelessness, all the I'm not enough, I don't matter, and I never will, all the tagging you put onto yourself as a kid. This vortex is spinning out the tags, spinning out the not enoughness, vibrating it out of your body, because it's constantly traveling down. It's also moving down to your eyes. As it moves down to your eyes, it's like the shutters fall away, and you can see that while you were in many ways a traumatized child, you can see that you're actually an amazing adult. You're stronger and more resilient than you knew. You have strength, you have wisdom, you have beauty. You're a survivor, and that makes you fascinating. It makes you compelling. It gives you strength. You've been through so much, and every day just gets better and better. And you can see, again, that you are an arrow, not a bow. And you can see that you are moving forwards, fast, straight, sleek. The past is gone, and you have so much power to influence and shape your present and future to make it amazing. And as the vortex travels down to your ears, you're beginning to hear your voice reminding you every day that you matter. So I want you to tune in and hear your voice every day saying, I matter, I'm significant, I'm enough, I am lovable, I am safe. And as the vortex spins down to your mouth, you can actually hear your mouth saying these words. In fact, this vortex is wiring into a compelling, overwhelming, irresistible need, a drive to say these very words every day. Say them right now. I'm safe. I matter. I'm significant. I'm enough. I am deeply lovable. And if you ever want to quantify, you quantify by doing this. I'm lovable because I'm lovable. I'm enough because I'm enough, just the way I am. So the vortex is spinning from your mind, what you think, to your eyes, what you see, to your ears, what you hear, to your mouth, what you say. It's traveling down your shoulders. It is traveling to your heart, your big, beautiful heart. And of course, your heart was broken many times, mine too. But you have a very functional heart that knows one thing, how to repair itself and come back for more. You have a beautiful heart that knows how to give and receive. And I want you to see all these scars on your heart, like that beautiful gold filigree you see in Japanese vases. You see, a bodybuilder, to make a muscle really big, must break it using very heavy weights and rest it, and it becomes bigger. You want big arms, you lift weights, Rest, and then your arms have bigger muscles. So your broken heart is just a bigger, better heart. It never lost its capacity to give and receive love. But today you're discerning. You give love to those who are worthy of it. As Tim said, you find people you are safe with. You are discerning. You like yourself so much. You love yourself so much that you can be on your own. And you let people into your life who benefit you and are benefited by you. You have a discerning heart, a discerning mind. You're a true survivor. And you look at your big, beautiful heart and see as this vortex spins and twists and turns that you can indeed give love. You can give love and you can receive love. The more love you give, the more you receive. The more you receive, the more you give. Because you are discerning. You're smart. You're not a dependent child. You're an independent grown-up. And now the vortex is traveling to your lungs, and your lungs are a place of balance. You see, every day you receive a breath and you give one away. Let's do that now. Take a breath in and give that breath away. Receive a breath and give it away. Receive a breath and give it away. That's the first thing you did when you came onto the planet. You received a breath, you gave it away, and you took another one. You can't just give. If you just tried to breathe out, that wouldn't work. But if you just tried to breathe in, it feels horrible. Every day your body shows you the balance of you being a giver and a receiver. You can't just be a receiver, and you can't be a giver. You give and receive. You give and receive praise, love, compliments. You give to yourself. You give to others. The vortex is traveling through your organs, traveling through your body, traveling from your lungs to your stomach, the seat of all emotions, to your gut, the second brain, traveling down your spine so you hold your head up high. Your whole body is covered, encased in this beautiful healing energy vortex. It is spinning, twisting, turning, spinning out toxic thoughts, spinning out toxic beliefs, spinning out toxic memories, leaving behind calm, strength, resilience, freedom. Freedom to give and receive love to the right people, to know that you're okay, you're a true survivor, you are resilient. But now is your moment to use a little bit of this dice, to say, I direct, instruct, code, compel. Think of something that you require. Maybe love, maybe safety, maybe calm, maybe peace, maybe to know that you're a great parent, that you can parent yourself and your children if you have them. But let's work on love. So I want you to just simply say, I instruct myself to give and receive love. Just say that I instruct myself to give and receive love. I code myself to recognize how lovable I am. I command myself to see that I'm worthy of love. Just keep repeating these words. They might not make sense. They might feel silly. Often these things feel silly or annoying or irritating, but that just means they're not familiar, rejecting. But if you go, no, I kind of like it, that's good, you're making it familiar. Remember, your brain likes what is familiar, which is to go back there. That's its job. Your job is to make better words. But when you do your job, your brain can do its job. So let's make this familiar. Repeat after me. I code myself to feel safe, to be loved. I instruct myself to recognize I am lovable. I direct, instruct, code, and compel my mind and body to recognize how lovable I am. Say that whole thing. I direct, instruct, code, and compel my mind and body to recognize and resonate how lovable I am. Let's do it again. And I want you again to state it, affirm it, embody it, shout it. Don't mumble it, don't whisper it, shout it out. I direct, instruct, code, and compel my mind and body to feel safe, to feel lovable, to know I'm enough, to know I matter, to know I'm significant. Let's do it again. Repeat after me. I direct, instruct, code, compel my mind and body to recognize I am safe, I am lovable. I'm enough. I'm significant. I matter. Think of some other things you would like to direct, instruct, code, compel. And say them. Repeat after me. I direct, instruct, code, compel my mind and body to recognize that I'm smart, that I matter, that I'm meant to be here. I have something to offer the world. You can add anything you like, because this is not just about doing it, it's about learning. I want you to repeat this again every day, to just take a few minutes to direct, instruct, code, compel, and empower yourself to feel safe, to feel lovable. You see, your body is a healing machine. If you cut your hand, it will heal all on its own. The placebo means that your body with certain directions can heal all by itself, physically, mentally, emotionally. Many of you suffered greatly, I know that. But you have a great power to heal, to come back, to say, I can't change the past, but I can change the present and the future. I can make better choices. I can put myself with better people. I can be safe. I can walk through the world knowing I matter. I have something to offer. You can walk through the world knowing that you have something to offer the world, that you had a broken heart, but it's just bigger, more beautiful, more able to give and receive love than ever. So just take the last few minutes to let this vortex spin. It's covering your entire body. It's traveling down your arms, traveling down your legs. It's working on your energy, your frequencies. You know, we're all matter. Quantum physics, the most reliable science in the world, says you're matter, I matter. But if you can just change your vibrations, you can change your whole life. So for the last minute, believe this vortex is changing your vibrational body, having you vibrate a different frequency, a frequency of safety and love and connection and significance, a frequency of joy that you made it, a frequency of being an arrow, not a bow. The bow is gone. No one cares about the bow. We only care about the arrow, and you're an arrow. So as this vortex spins and twists, and change your vibrations, change your frequency to those of someone who says every day, I matter, I'm safe, I'm enough, I'm lovable, I'm significant. The universe that put me here is supporting me. You can now just let the vortex leave your body. Imagine opening 2 valves in the soles of your feet. This vortex is leaving your body, pulling out of your body, leaving your body, leaving you feeling strong and well and shiny. Just like when a car comes out of the car wash, it's all shiny in you. You feel shiny, resilient. You are resilient. You're a survivor. You're resilient. You are strong. You are lovable. You matter. And as you know it, everyone else will get to know it too. So let the vortex leave your body through the soles of your feet. Let it come out a bit like if you tip up an egg timer, make a little hole in it, that sand will trickle out. Let it trickle out. Open your eyes. Come back into the room. Remember, every day, I want you to choose to say, I matter, I'm lovable, I'm enough, I'm significant, I'm safe. You can even add, I'm an arrow, because you are. I'd love to spend longer with you, but that was all the time I had. But it was just enough time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
In the comments how you found that.
Thank you, Marisa. Yeah, let us know in the comments how did you feel about this group hypnosis session. For me, I felt already at the beginning that I was sort of going to the ground, and I felt I saw some people having the same feeling. So let's see how people felt. A lot of thank you so much. A lot of gratitude, I think, from everyone in the room. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the Q&A. We have a few questions from people that we've been gathering through the whole session. Jennifer, who says that was healing. I have Ingrid, who said, I feel light. Donna, who said, I'm amazed that the love I extended to me as a child, I feel inside myself now. So a lot of incredible testimonies here, Marisa. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so let's get to the questions. We're going to try to take. We're not going to be able to take all of them, but we're going to try to take a few at least, and maybe we can try to respond with 2 minutes answers, so that we can get to as many as we can. So before the questions on healing, I'm just going to respond a few questions on the masterclass of Gabor. So I had a question: how long is Gabor's masterclass? It's about 7 hours. It's 17 lessons. When does the masterclass start after I sign up? So James, as soon as you sign up, you get the masterclass straight away. I had Daniel, who said, can I watch the masterclass on my phone? Yes, you can watch it on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer. You can also watch it offline if you should like. Mark, who says, can you remind me of the offer, and is it possible to pay in installments? So I'll just share the offer again. The offer is to have ultimate package, which is called Mentorship Plus, which is usually $1,200, but for the healing days, it's $399, and it includes Gabor's masterclass, the Heal Method, the Heal Masterclass, but also weekly live sessions with specialized coaches, exclusive webinars, and also all the future healing masterclasses that we're preparing. And actually, one last thing that I didn't mention, I see a lot of people are asking about the replay and of the webinars during the healing days. There will be the replays inside the access of Mentorship, so you also get that in the $399. All right. So first question for Tim is a question from Angela, who says, so to clarify, the brain is an information processor and the entire nervous system is actually the mind? ?
Yeah, so I think what Gabor said at the very beginning is the mind is more than just a calculating machine. It's so your whole vagus nerve is sending you information, your heart and the nerves around that, your gut, all of that is sending information. And so it's processing at a conscious level. Over 90% of the brain is working at a subconscious level. And so it's a way bigger than just kind of that little calculator in your brain that is consciously processing information. It's your identity, it's your coping, it's all kinds of biases and assumptions and beliefs that you might not even be aware you have, plus thousands of nuanced things about how to live and respond in a million different situations. So yeah, you got to think of the brain as much bigger than kind of traditionally we might have thought of it.
Right. Next question is Feggy Stern, who asked maybe for Marisa, what role does joy and play have in healing trauma?
Well, we know that children who are adopted, and the brain has this brutal thing called use it or lose it. So children who are adopted from places like Romania, where they were tied into their cribs and never played and never danced, didn't develop that part of their brain. And it's very important to play and laugh at any age. You age much better if you can laugh and feel joy. And joy comes from very simple things: waking up and hearing birds sing, clean sheets. You know, when you ask me what gives them joy, it's never, going on a yacht. It's like, my first cup of coffee is sensational. I love this particular shower gel. I always use it. So put some joy in your life. Joy is the little things. Waking up and your cat's jumped on the bed, your dog greeting when you come home, someone holding your hand, someone being kind to you and put joy in your life. And if you can practice gratitude for the little things, you know, I wake up and think, oh, I love my first cup of tea. I love my husband. I love my house. I always wake up thinking I found something to love, like usually birds singing or just loving, waking up thinking, I haven't got to get out of bed yet. That's so lovely. If you can have an attitude for gratitude for little things, then big things become amazing. But sounds, water, just the fact you can have a bath or a shower, that you live in a free country, smell, you try and find things that you love and say, oh, I love this smell, I love this taste, I love this sound. Listen to music, dance, because you're training your brain to find joy in little things. And then when big things happen, it's just amazing. So joy and movement and dancing and singing are so important, because you want to feel childlike rather than childish. There's a huge difference. You can be childlike at 80. So embrace that. It's very important.
Right. The importance of practicing these emotions is really crucial. We have a next question from Emily. My question is for Tim. On the 3 coping mechanisms you mentioned, which of those covers people who become dismissive, avoidant, and repeatedly moves through relationship, partners, or jobs? Dismissing people is another maladaptive behavior to avoid projected pain.
Yeah, so I think the whole attachment, understanding of attachment, is when people don't have secure attachment and have insecure attachment. Some go to anxious attachment or avoidant attachment. And so the anxious attachment is the person that is always trying to get assurances that they're loved, looking, like Marisa said, looking to somebody else to meet all their needs, and always insecure whether that person's going to be there for them. The avoidant person is just don't deal with problems, just stay away from getting too connected. And so typically you get an avoidant attracted to an anxious person, and then they have their own set of issues. But that attachment and lack of attachment can work itself out differently in people's lives. And that becomes some of the maladaptations that come out of that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I guess the other corner of the same stone is a question from Jenny Matthews, who says, hyper dependence is a response to present or past trauma. How can we ever heal from it? For Marisa.
Well, you know, we have to depend on ourselves. When you depend on yourselves, you realize you don't let yourself down. If you depend on yourself to be, if I say, okay, what are the words I want to hear that I never heard from my father or mother? Could I start saying them to myself? I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of attention. I deserve people. I'm worthy of people spending time with. Then I can depend on myself. And that is what parenting yourself is. You depend on yourself. Just as you depend on yourself to give yourself good food and drink enough water, we must depend on ourselves to nourish ourselves, not just with food or water, but with words. They're healing balm for the soul. So you can, hyper-dependence means I don't depend on anyone, but I'm also not independent. I need other people to do it. Independence means, okay, I've got it. I can do this myself. Of course, nobody wants to live alone. As humans, we are wired for connection. But when you can depend on yourself, you are more likely to find connection, because neediness is not very attractive and confidence is very, very, when you say, you know, I've got this, I can do it. Yes, my partner's away for a week or they're working nights, I'm working days, but I'm okay. I can look after myself. I can find nourishment both physically and emotionally. You know, a lot of people say to me, I'm disconnected. I go, what are you doing about it? What do you mean? Well, disconnection is a choice. So I used to have a magazine. I was in what you call an advice column. People write and go, I'm disconnected. What are you doing? Nothing. What have you tried walking people's dogs, volunteering? Oh, no, not doing any of that. Well, that's then you're choosing disconnection. You could choose. In fact, one of my clients told me, she said, I listened to you. I got a job at an animal shelter 2 nights a week. I found a guy there. I've been married for 5 years. I've never been happier. Who would have thought feeding baby robins and rescuing hedgehogs would make the love of my life? But she had to choose connection, and she loved animals, and she was brokenhearted when her relationship ended. And she gave something that gave her joy. And in that joy, she found a guy who thought, oh, I love her. Look at her. She's amazing. And they are so happy. They're like meant to be together. But dependence again is I depend on you to make me better. Well, you can't even say, hey, doctor, here I am, fix me. Doctors don't fix you. They fix you. You have to fix yourself. You can't give agency to other people. Depend on yourself. It makes you attractive. Confidence is attractive. It also makes you feel safe because you go, okay, I can be alone for the weekend. It's okay. My husband had to go away for 10 days. I thought, what am I going to do? I ended up having the best time. I had such fun. I didn't plan it. I thought it's going to be so quiet here, but it was fantastic. But you have to depend on you. We can't, if we give other people the job of making us feel good, then we're always needy. And we can do it ourselves. We need people, of course, but find a way of connecting. Talk to people. I talk to everybody everywhere I go. I say, oh, I love your dog. What a cute dog. We moved to America. I met so many people. We moved to Dubai. But I see people like, oh, I love your dog. Can I stroke it? Where did you get at the airport? I say, oh, your charge is so cute. I was on a plane today talking to this couple. They had this sweetest little baby. But it is a choice to say to someone, oh, you look nice, or what a lovely dog, or gosh, you're these flowers in your garden, did you grow them yourself? It's not hard. It's unfamiliar. So we have to choose to make what is unfamiliar familiar. And if you can choose to make connection familiar, to talk to people, to join some groups, to volunteer somewhere, you won't be alone. I had a client who said one Christmas she took sleeping pills and slept for 2 days because she was there. The following Christmas, she joined a shelter. She fed some, she was a hairdresser. She cut some homeless people's hair. She had the best Christmas ever. I didn't realize I had to step out of myself. Instead of looking for people to come to me, I went to them. I found a shelter, cutting people's hair. I had a fantastic time. But we can't, the cavalry isn't coming. We have to go out and do it ourselves. But we're all grown up. It's not as hard as it sounds. Find connection, choose connection, and choose to believe that you can do it, and your life will get a lot better.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's. I'll just answer. I saw a question from Sophie. Is the Heal offer only available today? So no, it's going to be available during the healing days. But just one thing is that, as I mentioned before, there's 500 spots, just because we've really carefully selected the coaches that will be working with you. So we want to make sure that everyone gets the right quality. So there's only going to be 500 spots, but the good thing is that you have the risk-free guarantee, where if you are not happy at some point with the content and you've watched the masterclass, you've done the exercises, you can get a refund. So next question is for Tim from Dylan Cook. If I can list a long list of traumas, how do I order them from being most important to deal with to least important to deal with?
That's a good question. I think for some people, to start with ones that are the biggest ones is too difficult. And so to start with something smaller, they kind of build a agency and tolerance that titrates them into kind of being able to handle more and more. So that works for some. Others, it's like, if I don't deal with this big one, I'm never going to get to square one. So I got to start with a lot of support and help to really get through it. So I think it really depends on the person. I wouldn't spend too much time trying to analyze and making sure you kind of get this perfect plan in place. Just start with what feels comfortable today, and then gradually you're just going to keep adding more and more to this recovery plan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We have a question from Mayra Zafar, which is how to make a child feel seen, loved, and validated, and how to know that they feel that way. There's a lot of question on parenting.
The most important thing as a parent is be present with your kid. I wish I'd known that when I was a parent. I didn't. I found out later, but be present. Put the phone down. Switch your phone off. Get off the computer. all they want to do is like make cookies in the kitchen, play in the garden, but be present. That is your job. When you walk, it's like when you walk into the office, you're pretty go to work. I've got to be present, but go home and be present. The best thing to do for kids is be present. If you can do that, just think, okay, I haven't seen them. Can I just be present for a couple of hours? Can we watch TV together without me looking at my phone, checking my iPad? Can I just be in the moment, whatever we're doing? You know, I took my kid to Disneyland once, but she said the best memory she ever had is when we just played Ready, Steady, Cook in the kitchen and we played this game. And she always remembers the simple things. I remember making jam with my grandmother. It was the highlight of my year because she was so present. We did it together. Secondly, apologize to your kids a lot. Darling, today mummy wasn't present. Today mummy lost it. My dad said, Mummy, have you got your period? I said, she goes, I knew it. I'd apologize. I'm sorry, Mummy's got her period. She's a bit cranky. And I would always apologize to her. And thirdly, praise them a lot. You know, you're so kind to your grandparents. You're so sweet with a guinea pig. You're so nice at helping mummy. So be present, praise them a lot, and apologize. It makes them feel so good, because if you don't apologize, kid, that you're not enoughness comes from my mum doesn't love me. She's always showing. When you go, darling, mum's had a very bad day. Her boss was cranky. It's not. They don't join the I'm not enough club. When you tell them, I was having my period, I forgot to have lunch, I was a bit rushed. You know, and I said, when a parent doesn't appear to love their kid, the kid stops loving themselves. If you apologize and tell them, Daddy lost it today, I'm so sorry, I didn't deserve that. They don't turn it in on them. They go, oh, Daddy lost it. He had a bad day. They understand that. One of my little girls, he said, you know, my daddy's in jail. He made some bad decisions, but he still loves me, because the mother was smart enough to say, Daddy's gone to jail, made bad, but he loves you so much. I wish he hadn't made those. And that's owning it, not putting it on the kid. So own your stuff. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong, and it makes your kids strong, because, you know, they have bad days too. But they really understand. I wasn't present today. I wasn't listening. I was a bit cranky, a bit distracted. So 3 things make you a great parent. And it's nothing to do with broccoli or organic avocados or learning Mandarin. Be present, apologize, praise them a lot. Tell them parenting them is the joy of your life. How lucky were you to have these great kids? They love that. They remember, you know, my daughter once said to me, Mummy, can you draw a picture of the best day of your life? And I drew me in bed in hospital with her. I did a little flip chart at the end of it, and it said Phaedra Peer, and the day and she's still got that picture all these years later. She's 35 now. She's kept it because it validated the best day of my life was the day she was born. I would always tell her that. And I certainly wasn't a perfect parent, but you got to own your stuff, because if you don't own it, they own it. And that's when all the trauma begins. They own your shortcomings. But if you do, they don't have to.
We have a question from Mandy. For Tim, I have a question. So I have no conscious memories of my early childhood. I've come to understand through external evidence that I was sexually abused over several years. Do you believe it's necessary to bring those memories to the surface through trauma therapy, hypnosis, in order to truly address core wounds and heal?
No, I don't think it's necessary. I think what's important to, like, there used to be a lot of thinking that you had to go back to the memory and relive it and kind of reprocess that memory. And I think we've come to realize, no, you may never get that memory, but you can begin to understand all the issues that came out of that memory and how it affected you. You can look at all the evidence and go, yeah, I must have been sexually abused, but I don't remember it. But I can deal with the shame. I can deal with all of the betrayal and hurt and all of that stuff. So you can do tons of healing without the memory. Now, if the memory comes, so as that brain heals and memories might start to come back, you might get extra little insights that might be helpful, but don't base your, I can't start healing till I get a memory. That's the wrong way to go about it. You can start where you're at, and if the memory comes, fine. If it doesn't, that's fine as well.
Right. I also saw another question for you, Tim, because it was on your part from Bruce. Is there evidence to suggest that the bridge between the limbic system and the neocortex can be repaired and improved?
Definitely. And I think it's so important to realize that much of healing trauma is actually there's a war in your brain. Your cortex has new tools. Your limbic brain keeps wanting every time it's triggered to go back to the old survival tools. It pulls you based on reasoning of emotions, not based on reasoning on the evidence. And so there's just constant battle between the two. But also when you're triggered, the limbic brain takes over. And so you have to kind of learn to regulate your emotions, and when they get dysregulated, to get yourself grounded again back to your cortex. Like Marisa said, that will feel very weird at first, very uncomfortable, even annoying to learn those tools because it's unfamiliar. It's familiar just to go with the limbic brain and to act out and to do all that stuff that you later regret. And so I tell clients all the time is that, 98% of the time you can live out of your cortex and be a wonderful parent, partner, all of those things. But when your fear of abandonment gets triggered, you can be like this different person comes out that's a monster. But it's in that 2% of the time when you're triggered, that's when you hurt the people you love the most. That's when you do the most damage. That's when you have your greatest regret. And so it's learning it's like the train is leaving the station when you get triggered. And how do you slow it down? Because it's leaving the station, and it's learning the tools in that very difficult time to ground that limbic brain, to regulate it, get yourself back into your cortex and acting. Some of the toughest tools to learn, but they're learnable. And once you do, the growth that can happen is fantastic.
We're just going to take a couple more questions. We really tried to answer as many, but sorry for maybe some people who didn't get their answers answered. But just a couple more. So one from Marisa, from Renate Steinmetz. How do you know who is safe to be authentic with?
Well, you've got to trust your gut. People show you who they are. Don't rush into relationships too quickly. Get to know people. What are their relations like with their family? Do they have good family relations? What are they like with other people? If they're rude to people, then people show you who they are very quickly, but take it slow. If you meet someone, meet them in a social place, meet them again, and then meet their friends. Find out who they are. People show you who they are very quickly most of the time. And often we just think, oh, wait, I'm just going to ignore that. Don't ignore it. I remember years ago, I went on holiday with somebody. We both had daughters. He wouldn't buy his daughter a single gift. And I thought, oh, I'm not going to ever see you again. He showed me this incredible means that I pay for her school fees and that's it. I'm like, are you going to buy her a little present? No, I said, okay, I'll buy her one. And I knew that was a sign. And it was up to me then to think, don't see this person again, because mean-spirited people, when it's one thing to be poor, but he wasn't poor, but he was so mean. And I didn't like that. When you see people cruel to animals or rude to waiters, or they don't have any family around, they don't have any friends. So we have to be discerning. Who is this person? Find out who they are. But also, we also have to understand our own thing. We often say, I'm broken. A broken childhood doesn't mean you're broken. It means your childhood was broken. Damaged parenting doesn't mean you are damaged. It means you come from damaged parents. So don't say I'm broken. Say I came from a broken home. My parents were damaged. But don't give yourself unnecessary labels, and learn to like yourself so much that you'd rather be on your own than with the wrong person. That's the real thing. When you go, I'd rather be by myself forever than with someone who isn't good enough, who isn't right. Because damaged people attract damaged people. Then you have a damaged relationship. So join groups, join AA, join Codependence Anonymous, find people that are healing themselves, hang out with better people, but also say, I remember when I decided one day, I thought, you know what, my life is so great. If I never find anyone ever, I'm all right. I was married 10 months later because I was so happy being by. It took a while to get to like myself, to like my own company. And when I got to that place, I met somebody and we had a connection. But you can't really come out of a relationship when you're so needy and go, I need someone. I can't be alone. I can't be by myself. You know, what's wrong with being with you? You're a great person. Alone means being alone with you. So you got to get to that place of saying, you know, I can watch TV, I can read a book, I can go for a walk, I can do stuff. That's when you're ready to find someone. Don't go at it from I'm so empty, I'm looking for my other half, because you're not half, you're whole. You don't need someone to complete you, and you don't need your other half because you're not half, you're already whole. Have a relationship with you first. Give yourself love. We spend so long trying to make some person love us. If we just put that time into loving ourselves, and nothing has to be changed, injected in, snipped off, nothing has to be done. When you fall in love with yourself, it's such a great place to be. And then other people love you too. They go, wow, you're so great. I love being around you. So put your energy into loving you, parent yourself, love yourself, have a relationship with you. And then you'll make much better. And you'll go, oh no, I don't date those kind of people. I'm not interested in addicts or people that are going to spend my money or not turn up. If somebody says, I'll email you, but they never want to see me, I'm not going to be with somebody like that, because then you have a better sense of what you're worth. And you're worth love, and you're worth somebody committing to you and you committing to them. But you got to be alone with yourself first.
We have a question for Tim from Alex Falls. How dangerous is having the cortisol flowing through my gut and pain, my chest from stress every day?
Well, Gabor's written a whole book on that, and it's what they've basically found is cortisol. It begins to affect your immune system. It affects your body. So a lot of your autoimmune diseases, they're now seeing as cortisol connected. Over 90% of diseases in the West are due to cortisol. So diabetes, heart, even cancers there's connections to cortisol. And so it's really realizing that, again, cortisol was designed to be a very short blast to get you fight or flight into safety. When it's there ongoing, it just begins to take its toll on the whole body and immune system and brain in very negative ways.
Right. We'll take one last question for Marisa, and then we'll close for today. It's from Diana, who says, how do you know if you are healing correctly?
Because you start to feel better. You know, we change in three ways. There's instant change. You go, wow, I feel different. But then there's also cumulative, bit by bit. And then there's retroactive. Wake up and think, oh, I don't feel that panic in my body that I'm alone in the house anymore. Or, oh, I don't have that stress anymore. So there is a lag time between doing the work and feeling better. So remember, you can change instantly, cumulatively, or retroactively. But you just start to feel calm. You start to live in a place of gratitude, and you start to like yourself. And until you like yourself, nothing else matters. So that's where we're going to think, yeah, I'm a good person. I can let people praise me. I'm a nice person. I do good things in the world. So give it time. Don't expect to change immediately if you're a retroactive or cumulative changer. But, you know, you get the chance to change twice every day of your life. Change a thought, change a belief. It changes how you behave. People say, how long does change take? Well, it can take 21 days. It can take 21 seconds. But if you start to say, I'm enough, that's one of the most important changes you can make. Say it, state it, affirm it. Just that on its own can change your entire life. But don't just hear it, do it. Imagine if you made your phone password, I'm enough, with security squiggles, obviously, and you had to type that out every day to open your phone. How much better would you feel? So write it on your fridge, write it on your underwear. I have these bracelets that say it, write it all over your house and put it into your password. So you got to type it out or say it every day. And I promise you it'll be a game changer. Sometimes the little things that make the biggest difference, because it gives you emotional resilience, and that's what we all need.
Tim, Marisa, I think we've run out of time for this first day, so thank you very much for so many eye-opening insights. And most of all, thank you to all of you for your incredible participation. Thank you also to all the people who are already joining the Heal Masterclass. And so same time tomorrow, we'll be with Gabor and we'll focus on how to heal the body. So I really hope to see you tomorrow at the same time. Thank you, everyone, and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks, Marisa. Thanks, Tim. Bye.
Bye-bye.
You can both leave the room here. There you go.